Member Calgary Shaw, followed by Calgary Fort.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The annual report of the Child and Youth Advocate came out last week, and it highlights a shocking trend. It notes that the Ministry of Human Services often does not address his office's recommendations, and that there has been minimal action taken on most of the recommendations. Given the history of this file and how just last year the outcome of your ministry's unwillingness to address and implement the Advocate's recommendations was front-page news almost daily to the Minister of Human Services, can you please explain this appalling lack of action?
The Honourable Minister of Human Services.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And working with the Child and Youth Advocate, Mr. Graff, I've had my first meeting with Mr. Graff. I think it's really important to talk about these recommendations and to see how we can improve the child care system. We know the child care system is not static. It's always being adapted, and working with communities, taking into account all the needs that we have, cultural sensitivity, research and current best practices. That's what I'll continue to do with him.
For supplemental.
Weak sauce, Minister. The Fatal Care Series prompted your ministry to take serious action and announce a 5-point plan to address your government's failures, one of which was appointing a team of professionals to accelerate required action on recommendations from previous reviews. Now, were you just hoping that this problem would go away, or can you demonstrate to Albertans that you take this seriously and tell us how you will fix this problem before we have more kids dying unnecessarily in your government's care?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the honourable member is talking about the Oversight Committee, so ably chaired by Mr. Tim Richter. We know the work that the Oversight Committee did looking at the recommendations and looking for solutions and how to solve some of the problems we have. Any recommendation we look at, we need to look at them, learn from them, and not place blame, but support the children and youth and families that need the help they need.
Final supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, the Advocate himself is suggesting that you're not following or implementing his recommendations. He can't make it any more clear. And another report came out today with 3 more recommendations to improve services for our kids and prevent future tragedies. So what assurances can the Minister provide to Albertans that these recommendations will not be cast aside, as so many others have? And frankly, given this government's history, why should we believe you at all?
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And no one feels the passing away of this troubled young man more than the young man's Aboriginal community. My thoughts go out to his family, friends, caregivers, and loved ones. We know the Premier and this government is committed to working closely with First Nation and Métis leaders to develop solutions. I also know that we are making a difference in that we've seen an 11% decrease in the number of Aboriginal children in care in the second quarter of this year. We will continue to work with the designated First Nations on a regular basis.